So let's begin with a deep breath, breathing in and breathing out, and a moment of gratitude for everybody who has carried us here to this moment. Some of whom we remember with joy, some of whom we remember with grief, and all of it is held in the everlasting arms of God's love. Today we give thanks for those who carried us, whether they carried us in their arms or they carried us in their hearts, whether they were our mothers or our grandmothers, whether they were our mentors, our teachers, our coaches, or our friends. These are the people in your life and in mine who prayed for you, who encouraged you, who challenged you, who loved you, and who believed in you, even when you didn't believe in yourself. Mother's Day stirs a lot of emotions, doesn't it? Love, grief, gratitude, longing. But beneath all of it is this sacred truth that none of us got here alone. None of us. Sorry, American individualism. We are not an island. So let me ask you, who carried you? Who carried you to this moment? As a child, I grew up in Caldwell, New Jersey, and was raised in the First Presbyterian Church at Caldwell. That's where my parents, who are here, that's where they found God and wanted us to have a similar experience. And so there were many who carried me. I'll just lift up a few. I've been sharing in some small groups about Ed Hurd. He was my fourth grade Sunday school teacher, and I was impressed with this man. And then 7 years later, he asked me, he said, would you like to assist me in teaching the fourth graders? And I said yes, and I didn't want to let him down. But he trusted me enough to pass on the faith to the younger generation. I was carried by Dr. Andrew McElwee, who was my childhood pastor, who in my teen years died of cancer, and I watched him die well, with grace and humility, with compassion. And I remember I needed to interview somebody for my journalism project as a freshman in high school, and so I called him up. I said, can I interview you? He opened his home, he welcomed me into it, and we spoke for over an hour, and I could feel the joy and passion that he had in his heart for ministry, and it planted a seed in my life. I was carried by Garrett Jones. During my wayward early 20s, I was at a party, not living the best of lives and feeling a bit unmoored and wayward. And in his own way, he met me there, and he reminded me that I could not outrun the love of God. And that helped close the distance that I had felt between me and God that felt so permanent at that point. I was carried by Jennifer Van Zandt, who would come to our house and babysit me and my sister while my parents went off to choir on Thursday evenings. Well, she would become a member of the first church that I served. And when I was floundering in youth ministry, because I had never been in a youth group, I didn't truly understand it, and I had these kids, I didn't know what to do with them, I asked to meet with her. And she met in my office, and she reminded me who I was. And she helped me rebuild a program that honored who I was and the gifts and talents that I brought to the table. Each of them held the rope for me. Through their words, through their presence, through their practice, through their love, through their patience, through their encouragement, they held the rope for me. Who held the rope for you? Whose quiet faith, fierce love, steady hand helped carry you into this moment? Take a moment. Picture them in your mind's eye. Say their name in your heart. And feel the beautiful mystery of the people who have held the rope for you, who've carried you into a deeper understanding of God's love for you in Jesus. Let yourself feel the gift of not having to do it alone, the gift of being carried. This gospel story is such a beautiful mystery, isn't it? 4 friends carry their paralyzed companion to Jesus. They can't get through the crowd, so they climb the roof. They tear it open and they lower him down. They don't ask for permission. They don't wait for a better time. They just say, "This man matters. We want to carry him to Jesus." And then Jesus does what he does. He heals. He restores. He reminds him of his inherent worth, his dignity. And that's what the church does at its best. We hold the rope. We carry each other. That's what Westside has done at its best for generations. We are a rope-holding church, aren't we? We carry each other through illness, through joy, through perplexity, through loss, through love, through calling and confusion, and always grace. We carry one another through bringing a warm meal, extending the hand of fellowship, opening our arms, opening our homes, pulling our chairs close in circles, laughing around tables, through holy silence and the music that stirs our heart and soul, through rituals that help us grieve well, and through prayers that remind us that we're not alone. And through generosity. Because your giving keeps the rope strong. Every time you support a mission trip like ASP, every time you comfort a family, every time you show up for a child and look them in the eye and see them, every time you make space for a teenager who's struggling to find his way, to discover his or her identity, every time you do that, you're part of the healing. You're part of the restoration God desires. You're part of the miracle. And sometimes the most generous things we do are the quiet acts, the letter that we write, the wink that we give somebody, the tear that comes out of our eyes when we hear the story that is being shared, the follow-up phone call, those little things, those small acts. Fred Craddock, the great preacher, told the story of preaching one day in a small rural church, and after the service, this elderly woman handed him an envelope. "Somebody handed me an envelope today." He tucked it into his Bible, and later on he opened it and he found a check for $100,000. And he went back to her. He was stunned. He said, "You live so simply," he said. She smiled and she said, "I've been saving for years. I want to do something that matters. This gift isn't really from me. It's from all the people who carried me here." Isn't that true? Our gifts don't come from us. They come from all those who've carried us here. And therefore, all those who we carry and who will be carried long after we are gone. That's the truth, isn't it? That's the hard, sweet, beautiful truth. That we give not just for ourselves, we give for others. We give for those who carried, for those who come next, for those who will carry people we will never meet. At our new member class yesterday, we got to meet some of the people who are feeling drawn to enter into this community. People who see Westside as a place in a polarized world where we can have hard conversations and to do it with respect and with love and humility. People come to Westside who have been hurt by the church, and they are finding they can rediscover faith here and a more generous orthodoxy. People are coming to Westside because they long to belong in a world where we are so isolated and alienated, and so many of us are so darn lonely. People are coming to Westside because they're looking for depth. They're tired of the shallow Instagram world. They want depth, and they're finding it here. at a time when everything seems so unmoored. People are coming to Westside not to raise high-achieving children that can be the best of the best, but because they want to raise kind, humble, gracious, servant-hearted children. People are coming to Westside because they want a community that's committed to growth at every stage, every season, at every age of life, because we're never done growing. And if we think we are mistaken. That's what Westside is about. That's what Westside Outside is about. It's not about fixing buildings, and it's not about fixing a parking lot. It's about removing the barriers. It's about creating a plaza that says to everybody, you're welcome here. We've thought about you before you came. It's about entrances and pathways that welcome instead of intimidate. It's about creating gathering spaces so that we can have the sacred conversations and make the deeper connections that we all long for. It's about saving a barn which is about 10 years from imploding and making it useful again for our youth, putting in a kitchen that actually works, that we can use to make meals, the bathrooms that aren't like a plane ride bathroom, but you can get a wheelchair in, having everything on the same level so that we can use it for our youth ministry, so that it can be an indoor-outdoor space for worship and concerts and events and mission for the world, for the community, for all ages. I've been reflecting on this proverb. It's kind of been ruminating within me. Blessed are those who plant trees under whose shade they will never sit. Blessed are you when you plant trees under whose shade you will never sit. That's generosity. Truth is, we're all sitting under trees that we did not plant. After the trauma of the fire in 2002, this church, this community rallied. People gave so that we could be here in this space. They didn't even know us. People gave so that we could worship. That was sacred work. That was their work to do. And now it's our turn to love what they couldn't get to because they were traumatized trying to get us back into this space. It's our turn to love what still needs mending, to make space for those who will come after us, many of whom don't connect in the same way in here, but do connect out there in God's creation in the first sanctuary. Because this isn't just a place that we gather. It's a place where people find healing and hope and renewal and restoration and home long after we will be gone. In a few moments, you will see cardboard testimonies. These are real people whose real lives have been changed by real grace here and in other places of faith over the years. And none of these stories happened in a vacuum. They happened because people held the rope for these men and women. Somebody gave, somebody prayed, somebody carried them from one place to another. And so we've been inviting you to pray, Lord, what do you want to do through me? But maybe the prayer should be, Lord, how can I carry somebody else in gratitude for those who've carried me? For now it is our turn to plant what someone else will stand under, to build what somebody else will walk through, to carry others the way we've been carried into the tender arms of Jesus Christ. Because generosity isn't really about wealth. It's about faith. Faith that what we offer today will bless somebody tomorrow. Faith that Christ is alive and moving in and through us and will be in this space for years to come. Anne Lamott tells the story of a little girl who got lost in a big city. Aren't we all the little girl who's lost in the big city sometimes? Well, this girl was really lost. She was running up and down unfamiliar streets. She was frightened and she was disoriented. And then a police officer saw her and approached her and offered to help. He put her in his police car and started to drive her all around to see if she would recognize something. And then all of a sudden she pointed, she says, "You can let me out now, officer. This is my church. I can always find my way home from here. This is your church. And we exist to help you find your way home." That's what we're about. It's not just a building. It's not just a campus. It's a place of refuge. It's a place of return. It's a place that we call home, where we feel carried, and we carry each other, and we help each other find our way home. Amen.